the guy that taught me the tire business, so after we got through a few hiccups, became my mentor for another 32 years. He'd sold the business, but I had such admiration for him, and he was so brilliant and in so many aspects that I really enjoyed his mentorship. So anyhow, I get into the business, and so as I start my talking, what I found, the thing about what I found, maybe some of you are already understanding that, in a scale of 1 to 10, most businesses maybe get to 5. Why is that? Well, as I got up to 5, and I was watching some of my buddies, and what they wanted to do is, when I was flying, is you pull the throttles back. Hey, I'm there. I've got my regular income. I can see my kids' situations where I can take care of them, my home and all that. But who am I forgetting about? I'm forgetting about the people who got me there. And that's our people. So many people, including myself, forget the people who are out there. Now, I say if you want to go from 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, it's that you start understanding it's going to be your people who get you there. I'm going to read a little deal on I'll tell you the author when I get through. Before you are a leader, success is all about growing yourself. And that makes sense. When you become a leader, success is all about growing others. And that leads me into the segment of what I want to talk to you of one of my 2 points today. It's about mentoring. Because your people, I think most of you, if requiring that to have at least 3 employees and greater, so no one is probably a one. If you're one person, this wouldn't mean as much to you maybe, but so it's our people is going to be our key. And whether I like it or not, I'm very competitive. And I have to be careful with that in my driving and all sorts of things. But that being said, I like to compete, but it always bothers me when I drive by your place of business and you're busier than I am. What's he doing? And then sometimes I find out you're not only busier, but you're more profitable. Well, that isn't good. That's great for you, but I wonder how you're doing that. Not watching. So along the way, I found out to be competitive, I had to find this out, and that's a different story. But anyway, I want to stay back to mentoring. So if people is the answer to our deals to be not just average. If you just want to be average, you can hire anyone who's breathing and walking. You might turn them over every day, but I've seen people do that. But if you want to have a company, and I'm not really preaching to you about this, I'm talking to, but I had to learn. If I was going to be that tire company out there that could build to a point, the last year we had it, we sold 100,000 tires to the retail customer base. Probably just about number one in this community. We weren't the biggest company in this community. But what we had to learn is through our people, how do we take care of the customer? Because the customer, and you've heard it 1,000 times, it's the golden egg. But to take care of the golden egg takes people. So I made my share of mistakes starting off. Again, they're breathing. They showed up a little late, but I still need a guy. I better hire him. And I did some of this. And finally, as I went along, I finally said, no. I got to have someone I can depend on. Okay, so they got to be dependable. And a lot of times you can do a little background on that and find that out. They show up at work. In time, I learned one thing that was a big help to us. We would test them. Because I found you could take courses on interviewing. Well, that makes it hard for us. Because we're trying to get through to the real person. And they've been taught how to say yes, ma'am, and no, ma'am, hold your arms a certain way and do different things. And we think we're on the same page and we're not. So I found with testing, I could get a firm grasp of the personality anyhow. It didn't get into their values quite like I'd like, but at least I could tell that. The thing that I found out, I'm sure said, do I need a round peg or do I need a square peg? When I had a mechanical job vacant, I'm looking for a person who is task-oriented. And I found I'd hired some people who I thought were task-oriented, and they weren't. Good talkers, very social and all that. That's the person I needed at the counter. This person, so I had to learn the particular job, what type of person will do the best job for me. If I'm going to really take care of the customer, I have to understand that, again, the round peg and the square peg. I got to understand that. And so I look for any way that I could possibly make a better choice on that person. Okay? Now, I've selected them. We're not up to mentoring. And this deal is to do with mentoring. So once I got that person, I've got their person out. The third step here would be, will they buy my mission? And we are customer-oriented. What does that mean? Well, so we get into what that meant. And they were not to ever upset the customer. That was not their job. Their job was to take care of the customer. And was there going to be some irritated customers? Yes. But we weren't trying to promote that or get it any worse than what it was. Let's solve the problem. We did have it out sometimes. We solved it and decided we'd go our separate ways. And my favorite deal was that if I got pretty serious, I wanted to be involved in it. Say, listen, you've lost trust with us. We have fouled something up, and we're going to fix it. If we can't fix it, we'll pay to have it fixed. Now, that's all said. Listen, what I recommend from here is you find somebody you can trust. Because you think about it, people you're doing business with and that you feel good about is people you trust. And it's not unreasonable to say at times you're going to lose someone's trust. And it might be have nothing to do with you personally, but one of your employees or something like that. And people seem to accept that explanation better than anything, as long as they took care of the problem. And some of them would kind of argue and say, well, I don't want to leave. Well, let's talk more about this. I got to know you trust us. Because I'm going to do work at times you can't see what I'm doing. You got to trust when I say you need a line, you need a line. You can't read that machine. Anyhow, so does that make sense? That sort of stuff, what we're trying to do. So anyhow, they're on the mission with us. Now, what I found, and I was using myself for that as much as anything, but I always appreciated my boss taking time to talk to me. Not in the hallway. Wouldn't look for that type of talk. I'm talking about one-on-ones. We can do it in meetings at times. We've got meetings like this here, and we can mentor somewhat, but not like a one-on-one personal mentoring. If we're going to get 6, 7, 8, or 9 in our client to be the best company possible, we got to all be on the same page. And the only way we know that, in my opinion, was to have that one-on-one time with that person. A lot of times that's after hours, or it's before hours. And so there is a sacrifice that goes into being a good mentor. And so once it starts, now we got another 30 minutes here, so I'm going to try to watch my clock here because I want some question and answers at the end. But the point being, while I was mentoring, I wanted to develop a relationship. And what does that mean? Well, I wanted to know that you're comfortable talking to me about whatever your issues are. I believe in an open door policy. My door is always open to come in and talk to me on your own if you wanted. The only thing I would ask, and I made it, that if you're going to complain about your boss, I want to know that you talked to your boss about this. I don't want someone jumping around the boss every 5 minutes. You know, if he's got a problem, then he has a confrontation with him. But he said, you know, I got a problem here. If he doesn't solve your problem, come to me. And we'll take it on. So I had some requirement. Some of that I learned from the military, right or wrong. But anyhow, so I wanted that relationship that if they had a problem, I've had them come in on bankruptcies, divorces, you name it, things that they've had, and they would come to me. I thought in mentoring, if I'm not an expert at it, I'll find someone who is. A marriage counselor, an attorney, whoever it is, we'll find that person. Because now they're family. We're mentoring them. We're close. And that's what we've got to work on that. And I heard about this company in the West Coast called Les Schwab Tire. And I'm hearing they're knocking the ball out of the park. And I'm going, oh my goodness, where are they? They're in Bend, Oregon. In Portland, they're all over Oregon. So I call out there and the young lady answered the phone. I said, hi, you don't know me, I'm Dick Erickson. I'm on the other side of the world, but I'd like to come out and visit you folks. And she very politely turned me down. Sir, we have people calling us every day wanting to visit our stores. Well, at least gave you that. Maybe I talked to the right people, but how do I get in the door? So what I did is I found out what buying group that they're buying a lot of product. I joined the buying group. Guess where I was at social hour? I was right next to these guys. I knew who they were. After a few of those meetings, one of them asked me, he said, Dick, you had to come out and see us. I thought I'd faint on the spot. I thought, okay, I don't get my heartbeat going on this one, but so very quickly within the next month, I was in Portland, Oregon. And I went out there, and if I can't describe it as well as I'd like to, I don't think. But I've been around businesses. I'm 77 years old. By this point, it was 1992. So I've been in business on my own, 10, 11 years, 10 years prior to that with the other company. I had never, ever seen anything like what I witnessed in Florida. These guys were running between cars. You stop your car to drive up, you're standing just like here. Next, you're about ready to get on, there's someone standing beside you. Yes, ma'am, can I help you? With a smile. White top. They're shaven. Someone who doesn't, someone I could talk to. Yeah, so you get. Then I watched them, and all of a sudden, I got there at 8. By 9, you couldn't get in the parking lot. And 17 stores in Portland, Oregon. I started going to different stores, and every one of them had the same game. Same game. Every one of those employees were moving fast. When they, unless they couldn't run and had to push a tire or something. And I asked the customer, this is my 4th or 5th trip out there. They brought the guy from Florida, but then I always make sure I go back to the same store to start with, develop this relationship. Hey, Mr. Erickson, how are things in Florida? Good to see you. Have you got a man? When you get a man, I talk to you. I got a man who's pushing a big truck there. I said, I always took a couple guys with me. Would you tell us why you run? The guy looks kind of befuddled. He says, well, I think the customer wants me to. Oh, you mean it wasn't the boss was going to whip you if you didn't? Or you're going to lose pay, or some negative repercussion if you didn't do your job? No. He was sold on the customer wanting him to do that. Now, how do you get a customer or employee to do that? Now, I went there 19 successive years. Samuel, you might think I'm slow, and I probably am. Especially 19 years. Can't you pick this up in a couple of years? Well, it turned out I couldn't. But it was more than that. It was a vitamin pill I used to use just to go out there. And just to see these guys go. At that point, they had a couple hundred stores. What I'm leading up to here is that a good boss at good locations, I sold similar tires. We had a lot of similarities. What was the difference? And that's what I was trying to find. What was one of the different? I'm sure there was more than one, but I'm trying to find one. Well, it turned out they had a defined profit sharing program in their company. Now, let me reword that. I didn't say that right. They had a defined profit sharing program for everybody in the company. Defined is important, and everybody is important. I could go around this town, and I've checked on a lot of them. Tell me about your profit sharing. Yeah, we profit share. Who? What do you mean, who? Well, our vice presidents, or senior management, or the junior leaders. How about the guy that's out there doing the work on your most expensive piece of equipment, selling the product that's going to go on that customer's car for us? And when I realized, I said, no, you mean that guy you just hired last week is going to get into the profit sharing? Yep. I was going to bring that even for that reason, but in the book I'm going to try to sell the book. I've got a big circle. It shows what they did on profitability. They took this circle and you divide it down the middle. Half of the profits in the company are the employees. Half. Anyone know any of the program? I didn't. The other half is the owners. And the owner owns the company. He's not sharing ownership. He's sharing profits. Manager got 17. Kind of what? Take me through this. Assistant 8. That's 25. 10% for the hourly people. 35. And then 15% for the retirement program. Now, how many companies, small companies, have a retirement program? Of course, as you can say, this is larger. But regardless, 15%. In the last 25 years of that company, 15% of the employees' wages went into a retirement plan. And they could put their own, as you know by law, you can do that. Maxed it. Maxed it. I'm going out. So that, why did they go back next year? I had to figure out how this is. Then I saw their financial statement. In our industry, I don't know where yours, each one will be different, but in a tire industry, if you took a chain of tire stores, well-run chain of tire stores, about 8 points would be a good bottom line. And you know what theirs was? Average theirs, 15. Now, a real quickie on that one would be, you can split that and still be up with everybody in the industry, right? And I'm going, well, there's not as much risk to this as I thought. Initially, if you think give away half your profits, what's that going to do to me? So we got into that. And what does profit sharing do at that extent? Here's what I saw. They become stakeholders. I don't say owners, but they get just about everything an owner gets except they're not owners. So what does a stakeholder do? Well, a stakeholder is concerned about the customer He's on profit sharing. Do you think he's going to upset customers? Do you think he's going to miss appointments? Things that would hurt the profitability of the organization. So he becomes very sensitive of taking care of the customer, especially the people type persons. And that's where I want the people front. I want them at the counter, the workers that take care of the alignments, breaks, stuff like that. They're both equal citizens. One has a different talent than the other. But that person is taking care of the customer. What's another thing that might happen? They don't show up late. You hire a new person in that environment. We developed into that. Someone showed up twice in a week late. You think I had fired? They got rid of it. They did not tolerate anybody who wasn't carry their weight. Boss, who's this guy you hired? Okay, I was learning. I could start seeing how this was coming about, how they got middle management. You got in a chain. If you go to a lot of the chains around, you have someone drives around a pickup. And what does he do? Drinks coffee with the manager. You think these guys want someone driving around drinking coffee? They don't want that. They want to know what their job is, and they'll do their job. Why? Because they got a stake in it. And they could, and that money that we paid for middle managers, I had them for a period of time, and I was able to get rid of that. I took my best managers. They became middle managers 1 day a week. You got paid from their store. They didn't get paid for their stores. And it worked. So you save that, so that could go to the bottom. Do you know people who steal from themselves? I don't. Every person in here has a need for the product I sold. It's more popular than marijuana. Tires. And my accountant used to say, well, how much shrinkage do we have this year, Dick? And we checked the book. Basically none. We got some tires we need to get rid of. They're getting a little old or something like that. But shrinkage wasn't an issue. They were part of the company. So this, what I'm sharing with you, was the thing that now put us at that higher level. Now, I didn't have enough time. I sold out when I was 75. I wish I had 20 more years to play that plan out. It could go shorter. But I am a big believer after that. If we can't come up with ways to share with the last person hired, I have to say it that way, you're going to miss out on an energy level from a person who could bring something to the table. And they will. I found. And my employee base, tire changers, I'd say a third of them didn't finish high school. A third of them might have had a record or two. The only thing we didn't tolerate, you had to pass a drug test. If you get caught stealing, don't ever show your nose up at our place again. That was the one certainty. But if you did, if something happened on a drug test, you're gone, clean up, you come back, and we have a need, good chance we'll give you another chance. So, well, we tried our best. Again, the mentoring was the part of getting first of all, get the people and then get them in the right mind frame. And we're such a part of that through our mentoring. We're taking time to keep them, that they know their back's covered and that you're part of the solution to issues that go on in their life.